Good evening everyone. I welcome you all to CADNEST online classes. CADNEST is an ISO certified computer training institution wherein we do teach CAD course, accounting course, development IT course, digital marketing and animations. The managing director of CADNEST is Mr. Prakash HM sir. We are located at 4 different branches, that is in CADNEST Rajajinagar, CADNEST BASAVANAGUDI, CADNEST SHESHADRIPURam and CADNEST MALLESHWARAM. And for today's class, we are going to discuss about the question and answers that do we face in the TALLY. The basic questions that I'm going to discuss for today. For that, I'll just go for the Word document which I have prepared for you. So as of now, which is the present version of TALLY? The present version of TALLY is TALLY Prime. So before this, we were using TALLY EDU Education Mode, TALLY ERP 9. Which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So very after that, in the month of November 2020, we have received the update that is called as TALLY Prime. Should have a knowledge regarding this. And second question is, TALLY software is developed by. So TALLY software is an Indian-based company. It is developed by an Indian origin company, and it is named as TALLY Solutions, and the main branch is located at Bangalore itself. And when it comes to third question, TALLY software is developed by using dash language. So it is TDL language, TALLY Developmental Language. So to develop each and every software, they use different codings. In order to develop TALLY, they have used TDL language. And the next is, how many types of license are there in TALLY? So there are different types of licensing or modes. When it comes to the mode, there is Gold, Silver and Education mode. Gold is for the multi-users, Silver is for single user, and Education mode is for the learners. One who wants to practice TALLY, they can purchase Education mode and they can learn. So presently we are into the Education mode itself. So however you want to practice, you can just go for practicing that. So the entire work is same. And when it comes to fifth question, how many predefined ledgers are there in TALLY? This is a commonly asked question. So I was talking about how many predefined ledgers are there in TALLY. When it comes to the ledgers, there are two predefined ledgers in TALLY. The very first one is cash, because without the cash, the company is not going to run properly. Obviously, they need the cash for any of the expenses or incomes or any activity. And that is why the TALLY software has already inbuilt feature, and they have already created the cash ledger. And the next one is profit and loss ledger, because without a profit or without a loss, the company doesn't exist. Either will have profit or will have loss. So that is the reason they have already created this ledger. So except this, based on the transaction that takes place, we have to create our own ledgers. And the next question is, how many predefined groups are there in TALLY? There are 28 predefined groups in TALLY, which are bifurcated as if the assets, liabilities, incomes, expenses, payables and receivables. So all these things are divided by TALLY and they are inbuilt in nature. The number is 28. So under this groups itself, I have to list all the ledgers that I have to create. And why do we use contra voucher? When it comes to a contra voucher, always when do I have the deposit of money into my self bank and withdrawal of money from my self bank, so at this 2 point of time I have to enter the contra vouchers, because that is a twofold effect for my company. So that is the reason I have to show that in contra voucher. And next question is shortcut keys for the following. That is, very first one is contra again. For contra vouchers, F4 is the shortcut key. And next is payment. For the payment voucher, F5 is the shortcut key. Then is receipt, F6 is the shortcut key for that. And next journal, F7 is the shortcut key. Sales, F8 is the shortcut key, and purchases, F9 is the shortcut key. And next is, why do we use budget? Budget is a process of analyzing our expenses over the income for a certain period of time. It's called as budget. Based on the company, they create different budgets. Budgets are prepared on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, and yearly basis, and depends on the project or the activity. So before getting into any kind of expenses or project, we do have to plan. That is the very activity called as budget. Without a plan, obviously any project will go flop. That is the reason we have to create a budget, we have to analyze it, and later we have to go for taking up the projects. The next is TDS, stands for tax deductions at source. So this is a taxations which involves a deductions of a tax from an employee's income. As I have told you, there are 5 heads of income. So out of that income, if an employee falls under the clause of taxation, if he is earning more than the slab rates, then we have to deduct TDS out of his salary. And the next is TCS, stands for tax collections at source. So which were the goods that are not listed under GST will get into our TDS. So wherever we do have the government interventions in order to have an activity of purchase or sales, for those kind of goods, we'll have to collect TCS. As I have explained you, when it comes to TCS is applied for the alcoholic liquor for human consumptions. And the second one is for the toll collections, iron ore mining, and when you purchase gold bullions, when you purchase luxury cars, and also when it comes to your forest products. It might be timber, tendu leaves, or sandalwood, it follows. And the next is GST, stands for Goods and Service Tax. We know that for all the goods that is consumed by the final consumer, we are going to pay the tax. That is called as our GST. And the next one is date of implementations of GST. GST was implemented on the date 1st July 2017. So before that, we had dual taxation or double taxation policy. In order to eradicate that, the government have taken up a project called as GST, wherein they tell as if one nation, one taxation. For one product, we will pay only once the taxation. The repetitive or the cascading of effect of tax is eliminated. And next is, which are the types or components of GST? When it comes to the types of components of GST, there is CGST, Central Goods and Service Tax, SGST, States Goods and Service Tax, IGST, Integrated Goods and Service Tax. If the transaction is within the state, we'll pay CGST, SGST. If the transaction is between two different states, we'll pay IGST. And next to that, which are the 5 heads of income in TDS? As I told you, when it comes to TDS deduction, if an individual is earning more than the slab rates, he is liable to pay the taxation. For that, there are different heads of income. This is involved into income tax, that is income from salary, income from business or profession, income from capital gains, income from house property, income from other sources. These are the 5 heads of incomes. The next, under which section does TCS falls? TCS is tax collections at source, and this falls under the section 206C. Okay, so whichever the goods we do find under the section 206C, that is applicable with the taxation called as TCS. And why do we use debit note? Debit note in the sense purchase written. Whenever a company has an activity of purchase written of a goods, then we have to show that in the formation of note or in the formation of document. That is the reason we form a debit note. and the debit note should be signed by the authoritative person. Only then it will be valid. If not, the debit note will not be valid in the organization. So in order to have a permissions and in order to have the assurity that we have sent back the goods, we'll raise a debit note. And the next question is, why do we use credit note? It is same. Whenever I have a sales written, I raise a credit note. So this is a documentary evidence wherein I show as if I have received back my product from the person to whom I have made a sales. Example, this also should be signed by authoritative person. If not, it is not valid. The authoritative person should sign, and he have to make sure that he have received back the goods from so and so person. Only then this will be valid. So make clear. Purchase written, we have to raise a debit note. Sales written, we have to raise a credit note. And the next one is, why do we use payroll in Tally? So generally, if an organization is there, we'll have the employees in it. In order to raise their salary slip or in order to calculate their salary on monthly basis, payroll is used. And what is the difference between single entry and double entry? So whenever we are raising a vouchers or we are entering the transactions, if we consider only one fold of effects, that is whether a transaction is in the form of cash or is in the form of check. So if I consider only these two accounts and if I enter the transaction, that is called as the single entry. So example, I'll maintain the cash book or I'll maintain a bank book. So inflow will be written on one side and outflow will be written on one side, and that's it. So that is all about your single entry system, and that is not much accurate. The very small business wherein they have a small number of transactions, they can maintain the single entries. When it comes to double entry is an accurate form of recording the transaction wherein twofold effects of a transaction are entered. One is the one who gives the money or one who receives the money, or else what comes in, what goes out, or the expense, income. So all these things are considered and we do apply the golden rules of accounting, and then we're going to record the transaction. So that is called as your double entry system of recording transaction. So it is much accurate when it comes to the big organization wherein they have more number of transactions. In order to get the accurate information of the transaction, they'll go for double entry system. So these are the major questions that I have listed. So I hope that is clear. If there is any doubt regarding this, please let me know in the chat box. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'll come back again to it question. Shortcut keys, contra vouchers. So when I have to enter the transaction that is relating to the withdraw of money from my bank and deposit of money into my bank, I'll use contra voucher. Okay, F4 is the shortcut key for that. So whatever the function keys you find on the top row of your system called as function keys, out of that F4 is the shortcut key for the contra vouchers. And the next is payment voucher for all the paid transactions. Whenever you pay the money for the outsiders for the reason of the activity of a business, then you will go for entering the payment voucher. And also when you purchase a fixed asset, you have to raise a payment voucher. Okay, F5 is the shortcut key for that. And the next one is receipt voucher. Whenever you receive money from the outsiders for the reason of sales or any other reasons relating to a business activity, then you have to record the transaction into receipt voucher. F6 is the shortcut key for receipt voucher. The next one is journal voucher. For all the transaction wherein you do not find the place at different vouchers or the additional entries or the adjustment entries, those transactions should be recorded into your journals. It might be a taxations or bills due, bills receivable, or whenever you have such an activity that have taken place, but yet not have come into force. then you will enter that in the journals or memorandum, and in the future date you have to change this. So that is why you have to use journal voucher. F7 is the shortcut key for that. And you also have seen we have entered TDS, that is the adjustment entry, in your journal voucher itself, if you can remember it. The next one is sales. F8 is the shortcut key for that. For all the sales that you make, you will enter sales voucher. So as discussed, you can just go for entering that bill whichever is taken place in your company, the transaction that you have made the sales through. You can also add tax into that, as I have discussed in the GST class. So except tax also, we can show the sales voucher. F8 is the shortcut key for that. And the next one is purchase voucher. When you purchase goods from outsiders, you have to raise a purchase voucher. F9 is the shortcut key for that. Okay, is that clear? Any other explanations required? The 5 heads of income are income from salary, income from business or profession, income from house property, income from capital gains, income from other source.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. And then when it comes to Tally, we have autofill feature in it. When it comes to autofill, whenever I have to autofill payroll vouchers or whenever I have to autofill TDS and TCS, Control F is the shortcut key. You have to remember this. I'll just get into the Tally in order to show you the things. So in the vouchers, to autofill anything, Control F is the shortcut key. Okay. As of now, I don't have any of the autofilling bills, so that is why I'm not getting it. If not, if I go for Control F, I'll have the autofill options. And next to this, I want to tell you one more thing. So we have learned creations of ledgers, and then we are going to record the vouchers. So if you have not prepared any ledgers, but you have to enter the vouchers, and then we do have the shortcut key also. To follow that, you'll get into the vouchers, and now by default we'll have cash account. So I'll enter the cash. In the particulars column, have to write as building account, but I don't have any ledgers here, so it is blank. In order to create now, you will go for Alt plus C. So this sheet will take you into the ledger creations sheet. From here itself, I can create the ledger. Building under the group fixed assets, just like how do you prepare ledgers, same process, but you just have entered it through the help of shortcut key, that is Alt C. That's it. So building account, I'll go for 1 lakh. So I'm done entering the voucher. This way also you can enter the vouchers. You need not to prepare the ledgers first, and then you need not to come into the vouchers. Just for the purpose of practicing, first prepare all the ledgers, then go for voucher entries. If you're good at it, then come to vouchers directly. From here you can use Alt C and create multiple ledgers. Is that clear? Yeah, when it comes to configurations, F12 is the shortcut key. You can just configure anything whatever you want. Example, if you want single entry or double entry, you can change that. So here we'll get into one by one. Here, use credit debit instead of to buy during voucher entry. So if you're good at credit and debit knowledge, you can apply that. Or if you want to or buy, you can go for that. So however you practice the journal entry, you can go for that. I'm good at debit and credit. I'll follow debit and credit itself. If you want to or buy, you can change this into that. And later, provide supplier or invoice reference and date. So this is much important because without a reference number, I cannot go for making payment or receipt. Example, when you purchase a goods from someone, if you have a reference number, Then you can go for making them payment with the help of that reference number. If you forget what is the amount of purchase you have made, you have the reference number. Through that reference number, you will come to know as if how much is the amount you have to pay them. So in order to have that, you can enable that option. If you don't want that, no need. And the next one is warn on negative cash balance. If your company doesn't have the cash balance, yet if you are entering as if paid through cash, it will warn you as if your company doesn't have the funds. You are yet showing as if cash entry. So beware of that. So if you want that warning, you can just go for that. If not, no. Then pre-allocate bills for payment receipt journal vouchers. So no need, because I don't know as if what is the transaction that takes place in a company, and no one cannot predict that. So in order to have the transaction entries, you can go for manual itself. And show list of bills for selection. Yes, this is a work wherein you will have multiple bills. You will have a client wherein you have 10 number of sales made. Okay, out of 10 number of sales, he'll be paying you the amount one by one. He'll not pay for all the 10 transactions at it. Okay, so at that point of time, in order to have a track on it, you can just go for the list of bills for selections. So you can just go for select the bill whichever he is making a payment to, and you can enter the vouchers directly from there. If you can recall my GST class, if I go for making purchase vouchers first and then payment to that, it will show me the against reference. That reference will show the details of the bill number. I can just go for selecting the number of bill for which I am making the payment to. So that is the simplest work. And show final balance for each bill, which means whenever you are entering the voucher, if you are considering your cash or bank, below that it will show you in a red mark as if what is the remaining amount you have in your company. If you want that feature, you can just enable it. If not, not required. And use default bank allocations. So that is not required because we'll not know which other bank transactions will make in future. So this is not required, and also will not make the transaction through only one bank account when it comes to an organization. So this is not required as per my knowledge. And use auto check numbering. Yes, because when it comes to check payment, obviously it goes along the series number. So it can take the next numbers accordingly. So it reduces our work. We can use this feature. And next is select check range. That is also relating to the same work. Set ledger-wise bank allocations during voucher creations. No, because that is not required. Again, when it comes to ledger entries, when it comes to voucher entries, I'll not have the idea regarding the bank allocations. So this is not required. And print check after saving vouchers. So this is your choice. If your company wants to raise a bill on each and every transactions, then you can go for this. Or if you're making that only at the point of the documentary, you can enable that at this point of time. And show checks details before printing. Yes, because you have to have a track on the checks. So this way, whatever the modifications you want, the silly modifications, you can do that here. So it helps you out with the simple work. That's it. And one more thing I wanted to show you is how do you take a printout of sales voucher or purchase voucher. Correct? I'll just go for selecting a company. So herein we'll go for display and debo. Once you enter the purchase voucher, in order to take a print or to raise an invoice, we just have to follow the steps. I'll select one of the purchase voucher. Yeah, here I have the purchase voucher. Go for enter. So this is my purchase voucher. Have to raise this. In order to take a printout, you can just directly go for Alt+P current, go for taking a preview. So it shows as if how does it looks when you take a printout. Yeah, you can look into this. Here I'll have all the entire details relating to the company, and also from whom, for what is the purpose I'm going to do, and for who is the supplier details will have that also. If you have taxation, it will add the taxations also. That's it. So this way you can just go for entering or raising your invoice. Or if you want to email it, or if you want to export, you can do that also. Not to email, Alt M, not to export, Alt E. So for this taxation bill, we'll see as if how does our invoice looks like. I'll go for Alt P print, current, go for a preview. So it shows you the outline. Yeah. So here it will add the tax for me. That's it. So these are the basic things which you have to know before entering into the work of TALLY. So any other questions, list in the chat box, I'll answer them. Yeah, that's it for the day. Thanks for joining, and you made this a success. Thank you so much for everyone. People all can leave. Bye.